Hey, my name's Mariah. I'm a junior rotational physiotherapist. I've been doing this for the last 2 years and I'm on my 6th rotation. The purpose of this Q&A is to address some of the questions that I get commonly from you guys, but also some questions that I probably would have asked when starting out as a junior physiotherapist. A nice and easy one to get into is, what advice would I give to someone about to start their first Band 5 role? So, as I always say, be honest about what you know and what you don't know. Self-aware, that's important because you're going to highlight a lot of things when you're self-aware and you know about yourself. Basically, I'd say if you don't ask, you don't get. And what I mean by that is, let's say there's someone from the pain team on your ward and you want to know a bit more about what the pain team does. But that means going up to the person and asking them directly or trying to arrange some time to shadow them. Stuff like that. If you don't ask, you won't get that opportunity and you could miss out on something great. Similar things with areas that aren't like big rotations typically. So whether that's you've come across a physio who's working in pelvic health and you're like, oh, I've heard that physios work there, but I don't know exactly what you guys do. Maybe arrange to spend some time with them. So that's like some of the main advice I would always give someone starting out. The next question is, what has challenged you the most? Which rotation has challenged you the most and why? Each rotation has challenged me in different ways, but I'd say the most, it had to in many categories, I would say was my neurology rotation. And it challenged me a lot in the sense of, at that point when I rotated around there, I developed myself quite a bit as a physiotherapist in terms of I knew what I liked and what I didn't like. And it was surprised me and challenged in the sense that before I was qualified, I thought that's going to be my area of physiotherapy that I would have interest in. But I was surprised that I didn't feel the same that I do in areas that I have a greater interest in, if that makes sense. I don't know if that made sense. But essentially, it was challenging because of pacing, for one. You get great rehab in like a neurology setting with the patients. You get to spend more time with the patients. It's like lovely seeing all the changes, and there were some patients that I got to see that had their stroke and they were one way when they initially had the stroke and left at a different place in their recovery, and it was beautiful to see. I just think for me it was challenging with the timing, the time it takes to get to those points, the time you have in the day and how many people you see in a day. It wasn't fulfilling for me. Like, I was like, this is beautiful, we're doing great work, but also I don't think I could do this every day. For me personally, I think, yeah, it was more so the pacing that I found to be very difficult, and I think it was because I came from a place with a faster pace, and also I gathered that I prefer a faster pace of working. But yeah, so that was a challenging side of things among other aspects. But yeah, I'd say that was, definitely my most challenging rotation. I was like toying, I was like, have I had other challenging ones? No. Yeah. Other ones have only been challenging in the sense of it's a new area that I haven't experienced before, or like changing my opinion on things. So that's been where it's been challenging in other areas, but this one was that. Have I ever had a moment where I thought, I don't know what I'm doing? Yes, I've had several moments where I'm like, I have no idea. Now, this is where it's important to have good relationships with people, because in many cases, in those moments where I generally have zero idea what I'm doing, if I feel comfortable enough and I have a good relationship with the people that I'm working with, I'll just ask. Like, that's the ideal situation. I'll just ask, I'll be like, hey, I've got this, I'm thinking this, is that what you would do? Put it like that. Or, worse to worse, Google, I have this and that, I'm thinking, duh. Google will tell you. Yeah, I would say usually you can bounce things off the people. I'm not necessarily saying it has to be a senior, but you can bounce it off another band 5 as well. If they're your friend, you can be like, hey, there's been times where I've had friends call me or text me saying, hey, Mariah, I have a patient, da 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 da. Is this what you would do? And I'm like, yeah, I'd do that. Like, that's fine. So building that little community that you feel like you can ask for help, and feeling comfortable helps you feel like you can ask for help. I've been in situations where I don't feel that I could ask for help, and it has really stressed me out, and it's like put me in a position where I'm a bit just like, obviously I'm not going to do anything that's like unsafe, and if I'm not sure, I'm going to try and find someone else, or I'm going to go to, you know, online sources, legitimate sources like NICE guidelines, etc. on how to proceed. But in the ideal world, it's just easier to be able to talk to people. Another question that I get commonly is asking me about if I experienced imposter syndrome when I started and how did I deal with it. Now, for me, when people ask me if I did, I tend to say no, I didn't. But you could argue I did partially, or how I avoided it. Now, I feel like when I started, there were 1 or 2 moments where I had people say, when people were more just like, okay, so, you know, when you're a student and someone like second guesses your question, and it's not necessarily always because they want to hear your clinical reasoning, but like, it just kind of feels like they're pushing quite a bit, and you're like, I've given the answer I want more. What do you want from me? In those situations. But I feel like imposter syndrome was dodged quite a bit for me, because I went in being like, I was given this job for a reason. If they didn't think I was capable to do it, they wouldn't have hired me. Yes, I know what I know, and I know I may be aware or may not be aware yet of what I don't know. But I'll be honest when I don't know something as well. Also, everybody was in this position at one point. So why would I be embarrassed about the fact that I'm new here? There were several times in my first couple of weeks, for instance, because I work in an area was never around before. I've never like visited that area before, or like lived or worked in that area before. So many common knowledge aspects I had no idea about. And there were times where I would be in board round and I'd say, hey, I'm new here. Sorry, it's my first week, or sorry, it's my first month. I don't know where we're referring to. Like, this isn't something that I'm aware of. I didn't know that we offer this here. Things like that. It dodges those feelings, in my opinion, of feeling like an imposter and like you don't belong. Because you do belong, or they would have never hired you. So, yeah, I'd say that. Things that I've learned about myself as a physiotherapist. I've learned that I'm a physiotherapist who likes to work in like a fast-ish pace environment. And what I mean by that is I don't want only like 5-10 minutes with the patient. I want a good amount of time to get some rehab in, answer the questions, boom, sort out a discharge plan, get them going. Like, I like that, but I also have room for some rehab. I've learned that because I'm currently on my outpatient rotation, I've learned that I miss being in the hospital quite a bit, and I'm an inpatient physiotherapist. That's what I've learned about myself, definitely. I would say you could argue that I become an inpatient physiotherapist because of all my experiences have been inpatient. I just haven't found anything in outpatient so far that will pull me away from being in the hospital personally. And I've learned about myself in general, not even just as a physiotherapist, that I have a lot more patience and time than I think I have for things and people. There have been times where I've gone over to see a patient and it's clear that they just need someone to listen to them. So I've just sat and listened. Or like, you know, just taking, I feel like physios are the ones who have a bit more of the time to be able to sit there and answer things. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Let me not do that. Now, another thing is, what am I still figuring out? I worded this differently, but basically people were still asking me in terms of what are things that I'm like identifying that I don't know or that I would like to know, etc. And now, if you'd asked me maybe a year into being a junior physiotherapist, my answer would probably be slightly different. But 2 years in, I feel like I'm not going to say I figured it all out, because there's no way I have. It's not the case. I've just figured out where my joy is with physiotherapy, and I figured out like what makes me happy, I'd say. So in terms of what I've not figured out, it's hard to say, and I'll deal with it when I face it. Cop out answer, I know. I'm sorry. But those are some of the questions that I regularly get from you guys. And if people have asked me to go further into my rotations and like what I've learned about them and go on and so forth, which I will do in a future video. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to rank them, we're not doing that. I'm just going to say type of things I saw, what advice would I give for someone going into said rotation, kind of like a compressed version of what I do in my reflections. Hope some of these questions were helpful for you guys. If you have any other questions, as always, you can put them down in the comments below or reach out to me on Instagram. That's in the description below, and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye guys.